Waiting for okay, Facebook is back. So like we were telling our Instagram family, that actually one of the suggestions that I was reading about not too long ago is to try to limit the amount of time that you spend on social media, because that's very, very good for your brain as well, so that you're not mindlessly scrolling. I set my timer for 30 minutes a day, and as you can tell, I was close to my limit. So therefore, I had to go in and turn off my digital well-being so that we can continue on our conversation. I do apologize, but let's continue on.
No worries. So next, after social connection, I'll just kind of briefly, we talked about physical activity, openness to experience, curiosity and creativity, social connection. So now let's go into mindfulness meditation. So this is a very interesting subject. So for me personally, I choose every morning when I have quiet downtime before my kids wake up, I do personal Bible reading, and then I do my meditation. This is so important. And if you notice, it said mindful. So it has to be mindful, right? Our minds are moving, but we're really thinking deeply about specific subjects or specific matters. So that's another great one to consider.
And think about what that is. You're actually, in effect, exercising your brain, because you're thinking very deeply or focused on one particular thought. Mm-hmm. So this is, especially at the time that you do it early in the morning, I mean, that's a great way to get the brain up and going for the day's activities, allow it to be a little bit more peaceful, so that, let's say that you have a lot of anxiety or your brain just feels like it's rushing. Sometimes allow it just to mellow out for a little bit. So it's a very, very good suggestion as well.
And I find for me too, it's very helpful because I'm one that my brain is always working, like flashing lights all the time. It's for me, when I struggle with sleeping, it's mainly just because I'm thinking about the next thing that I want to do, and this over here and there and there. So doing that in the beginning of my day can kind of set the tone for the rest of my day. It's so powerful. So next, brain training games. So there are actual, and then I just remember even as a child, like my grandparents doing like crossword puzzles and Sudoku and things that are going to, again, stimulate that brain, things that are going to make you kind of think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we talked about video games as well. I don't consider myself as much of a gamer as I used to be. Mm-hmm. But I can definitely tell the difference not doing it as often as opposed to when I used to game constantly. For me, that was a lot of mental stimulation, and it forced me to think very, very hard. Mm-hmm. So I have noticed that the struggle became real after not doing it as often. So just like any muscle, I mean, the less that you use it, the less efficient that it becomes, right?
Right.
So when you're thinking about it, I mean, even in the app stores, sometimes they can be time wasters, but they have a lot of games in like iOS and in the Android or Google Play store that are meant to stimulate brain activity. So very, very important to continue to train it.
Mm-hmm. And next, sleep. Oh, sweet sleep.
I remember the good old days.
Right. Sleep is so important to cognitive function and cognitive health. I don't even think that I really need to go too deep in the importance of sleep. But
I mean, we've done a whole health talk
on sleep, right?
Yeah.
But if your body is not getting its restful sleep, you know when you wake up, like, you can't function mentally. You're forgetting things. You're losing things. You're running around trying to do certain things. Sleep is so crucially important. I remember reading one statistic where it just even talked about if you are sleep deprived for too many nights in a row, like they have tested people and they test just as a person that's intoxicated.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like so powerful that it's really altering that brain function. And if you've done that lack of sleep deprivation over years and years and years, just think how that's going to affect you as you get older. There's so many connections, again, when it comes to a lot of cognitive different illnesses and things that are affected and come about.
And one thing I just want to add before we move on is remember that that's the time period that your body is recharging and refreshing and repairing itself. So the more and the better quality of sleep that you're getting, obviously your brain is getting the more benefits from it. So I can attest to that when I work midnights, and I would sometimes go 2 or 3 days on maybe 4 and 5 hours of sleep, if that. It was extremely difficult. It was extremely difficult to function, extremely difficult to think and do simple things. So sleep is very, very important.
Tashina, when you get to platinum, then you can get some sleep. No. So the next one is reduce your stress. How many times do we talk about stress? But that's so important too. So even stress can wreak havoc on your hormones. Stress can wreak havoc on your brain function, the body. All of that stuff is connected. It can mess with your gut, which, you know, is the second brain. So again, reducing your stress. When you put some of those other things in play that we discussed, though, that will help tremendously with reducing stress. So when you're active, when you are getting enough sleep, when you are in a meditative mindset from the start of your day, all of that is going to connect well to reducing your stress.
There you go. All right, so those are great activities to put into play, but we are actually missing one. And that one is your diet, which is 100% just as important as all the other activities as well. And sometimes I feel like we're very general. We're like, hey, eat a healthy diet, take supplements. But I want to kind of go through some of the ones that are most beneficial that probably you can find in your kitchen, and we'll talk about some supplements. I have 3 of my favorite ones that I take here on a daily basis. One that I have a tear in my eye for right now because I just ran out of it, hence the daddy brain. But one of the things that when you do research when it comes to brain health that they always recommend is like fatty fish or fish oil. So I do take my Omega Jais when I have it, tear, every single day. Because it is great for supporting cognitive function. 60% of your brain is made from fat, so having that omega-3 that comes from a fish oil is going to be highly beneficial for the brain. But you also get the benefits of having the essential oils within Omega Jais as well, right. Which improves the body's ability for you to absorb the nutrients. So that is a great one to use. So I don't know if I agree with this one, and it could be because I'm not a coffee drinker, but coffee. So they say because coffee is a stimulant for the body and does help to increase the serotonin levels within the body, it does challenge the brain to think harder. Whether I agree with that, I don't know. But it'd be nice to maybe get some feedback on that. Do you feel like coffee helps you think better? I do feel like some people do say that coffee helps them think better in the morning. How about things like blueberries? So we're talking about some of the fruits that are beneficial as well. Blueberries are, blueberries have high anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects, but they also are very beneficial of getting the antioxidants in the brain to help improve communication between your brain cells. So there's too much debate. I know, right, Carrie? There's always coffee's good for you, coffee's bad for you. So that's why I say I'm kind of in the middle on that.
My only thing is the acidity of coffee.
Yeah. But I mean, the nice thing about talking about blueberries again is those antioxidants. The research that they've done for the blueberries, it helps or may help delay brain aging, improve memory. So another one to think about. This one is probably one of your favorites. Bring on the
And I was just thinking blueberries. We have a superfood drink that has blueberries in it.
You know what? Hold on. Why don't we just address that now? Let's show the elephant in the room. But Carrie is alluding to Ningxia Red. So, I mean, a lot of some of the foods that I'm going to talk about, they're in Ningxia Red, you know, which is another supplement that I take every single day. Superfood supplement to help improve my cognitive function. I am really struggling here. Wow. I really need my Omega Jais. So let's talk about turmeric. Like, you love turmeric, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness, yes.
So sometimes we talk about turmeric for the benefits that it has on, you know, joints and limbs, but also it is very, very good for the brain. Some of the research that's been done has actually said that it may be able to help benefit your memory, but also ease depression. So it does boost serotonin and dopamine levels. Dopamine is the feel-good hormone, right? So depression can actually cause the brain to give you that foggy feeling. Hence, turmeric is a great one to add. And in addition, it does help to grow more healthy brain cells and increase the growth of healthy brain cells.
And there's so many great ways that you can, I mean, you can cook with it, there's so many ways that you can get it into your diet as well.
How about this one? I'm sure you guys have never heard this was good for you. How about broccoli? Broccoli is actually a really, really good one. I take Ningxia shots every single morning, which you should, and then my green juice. Oh, I'd love to hear what's in your green juice. But yeah, broccoli, vitamin K, right? So we've heard of that ever since we were kids. I really don't need to expound more on that because broccoli is very, very good for you as well. Pumpkin seeds. So pumpkin seeds are an interesting one. They do have powerful antioxidants that protect the body and the brain from free radical damage. We've talked about free radicals as well. But they also do contain zinc, magnesium, copper, and iron. So zinc is very crucial for nerve signaling in the brain, whereas magnesium is very good for learning and for memory. Copper is very good to help control your nerve signals, and then iron is iron is actually beneficial for helping with brain fog and impaired brain function. So think repair. It's interesting that the article says that usually when a person is iron deficient, that's one of the first signs that they'll start to show is that they have that brain fog. And
it's very interesting. I've said this before, but I say it again. A lot of times we are very mindful of our vitamins. We get our vitamins in. We're mindful. We do what we're supposed to do with our vitamins, but we forget about the minerals. It is so important that we are getting those beneficial minerals in our foods. It used to be a time when we would get some of those beautiful minerals within our foods because it was being grown in those soils and it was enriched with all of those beautiful minerals, but we're not getting that anymore. So we're not getting the benefit of a lot of those minerals, and so it's so important that we're adding those back into our diet. So again, that brain function. There's no wonder that we are having an increase of people having issues with different cognitive functions, and even things like migraines. I feel like back in the day, I didn't hear as many people complain about constant migraines, and things like that. Again, a lot of that is a reflection of your gut. It is something that your body is not getting. It's not processing. It's not being able to absorb in its system. So really taking an honest look at your minerals and your vitamins and what you're intaking is so crucially important.
Oh, absolutely. So in addition, I will add to that just the last few ones. So dark chocolate was mentioned, not your regular Hershey's chocolate, actual dark chocolate. And it's interesting because the flavonoids that are in dark chocolate have actually, there's been research done that it serves very good to protect the brain. So I don't know how many people like dark chocolate. I actually do like dark chocolate.
See, I do not, and I do not like any chocolate, but I have actually been in the morning doing a chia seed pudding, and I will put some cocoa nibs in there so I can get those, the superfood of that chocolate in there. And for me, if it's mixed up with all that fruit and the chia seeds, I don't really notice the cocoa as much, and I can tolerate it and take it down. But I know I'm abnormal, and most people enjoy their chocolates, but it is that dark chocolate that we're talking about, not the one with a bunch of added sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. And
yes, mineral essence plus nitro.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Get those minerals.
Oh, yeah. So one of the last ones I want to talk about are nuts. Nuts are very good, have healthy fats in them. They're very high in fats and proteins, but they also have vitamin E, healthy fats, and plant compounds to help give that brain that extra needed boost that it may need. So I know if you guys have been following Dana and I on Facebook and Instagram for a while, we've been trying to go more and more plant-based, hence the addition of more variety of foods into our diet, and we've seen many benefits from it as well. So those are some foods. But if you notice that, like even on that list were things like oranges and we mentioned blueberries as well. All of those are found in Ningxia Red. I mean, so that's why, honestly, when we say that everyone should be taking Ningxia Red, they really should. And then I just will add one of the other things that I have been using more recently to assist in my cognitive function, because I have really been struggling lately, is Young Living's blend of Clarity oil. So I have been using my essential oils to help me focus, because sometimes it can be a struggle, especially when you're sitting down. I know that sometimes I have work to do for our business, or sometimes I have assignments to do, spiritual obligations as well. So I have found that like Clarity has been my new best friend in helping me to stay focused and support my brain.
Absolutely. And then that's a great one too for, a lot of kids have gone back to school or going back to school. That's one that and Genius, we love those two blends for cognitive focus. Really helping us to support.
Oh yeah, especially two homeschool kids.
Yeah.
They need it. So
Yep.
But that is what we have. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to that topic that we didn't cover? You guys have any questions before we sign off? Let me go back in the comments and see if I can catch anything that maybe I missed.
Yes, and please, even if you're listening to the replay, again, tell us where you're from. Add any comments and questions that you might have. We'll come back, make sure that we'll answer them, make sure that we respond to everybody. But if you are benefiting from the information that we're sharing, please share, like the information. We are doing this because we want to help as many people as possible. This information, I know for me, there's a lot of stuff I just didn't know, right? So if there's any way that we can help other people to be able to grasp some of these things and benefit from them, we want to share that with everyone. So please, this is for anybody out there that might benefit from it. Also, as we always mention, our podcast, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to that, rate, like. We are on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, and that is DNA Wellness Health Talk with the Motts. Also our YouTube, where we will upload all of our replays as well. The podcast, though, is going to have a little bit more information because we try to roll something out on a weekly basis or every other week. So there's a lot more content on that podcast as well, and we take all types of different subject matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say I have been enjoying talking about what's on the podcast. We're talking about 4 tendencies and why we do some of the things that we do. So when you get a chance, check that out. I feel like they'll really enjoy that one as well.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
But
also, join any of our in-person classes. We have a few in-person classes coming up. There's actually an online class that we're going to be joining later this evening. But yeah, so check us out. And again, we want to just get information out to everyone.
Alrighty. Well, sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate the love and support that you guys have shown. Hopefully we answered all the questions. It looks like we did in the chat. So until next month, with our Health Talk with the Mott series, we will see you guys then. But until then, everybody stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, guys. Bye.